Assalamu alaikum, sister. Thank you for writing to our live session. As I understand, you're 15 years old and you're looking for some answers to some questions that you've been thinking about for a long time. Apparently, throughout your childhood, you state that you've experienced gender dysphoria, and it led to self-harm and suicidal thoughts. I guess my question at this point is, like, how old were you when you experienced these feelings, and what was the self-harm, and how serious were the suicidal thoughts, right? Because that's a very important point moving forward, because if you do have, suicidal thoughts still, I highly suggest and kindly recommend that you do get counseling, right? Because that's pretty serious. As far as the self-harm goes, that is serious as well. And it would be best if you could talk to a therapist and help you to come to a place where you're comfortable and you feel good about yourself and you feel good about your future. Okay, so with that said, I'm not an Islamic scholar, but I will try to answer your question to the best of my ability. Sexual attraction to girls can start in, pre-puberty, right? Sexual feelings in general can start before pre-puberty. And that's, normal. It's just a part of, your hormones waking up, your body changing, preparing for womanhood, right? Or in the case of boys, manhood. A lot of times people are attracted to both sex, or they're just attracted to the opposite sex, or they're attracted to the same sex, right? All of this, happens. And it's not something to be alarmed about. It's not something to be really upset about when you're young, okay? Because these feelings usually pass. In your case, however, you feel that you are a lesbian, right? Now you're 16 years old, and you have been feeling this way since puberty. So you pretty much, have gone through maybe 3 or 4 years of self-searching and, deciding and declaring how you feel. And I'm not saying that how you feel is right or wrong. There's many medical cases where, yes, babies are born with higher levels of hormones and other neurochemicals, the sexual hormones related to the adrenal glands or other glands that develop differently, okay? There is a nurture versus nature debate, and scientifically there is support for the nature debate, right? The genetics, the being born this way. So with that said, there is science to back that up, but in most religions, including Islam, it's not accepted. Again, I'm not an Islamic scholar, so I would kindly suggest that you do write our section called Islamic Scholars and ask them these very specific questions, because I don't want to do you a disservice and give you a wrong answer, and they would be more in the place to give you a correct Islamic answer. Okay? In my personal work and the individuals that I have done coaching with and before in New York when I did counseling, I don't recommend that children remove body parts. I don't recommend that they start transitioning until they're at least in their 20s. Okay? And that's primarily because you're still growing. You're still growing mentally, emotionally, and physically, right? And I have had, 2 situations where people have transitioned over, and they did go through with surgical removal of certain body parts. by the time they were like 25, 26, they both were totally depressed and traumatized and mortified because that's not what they really wanted, right? After they, reached maturity and reached their, full, growth, not only physically, but emotionally and psychologically, they grew more and they learned more about themselves and who they were. It wasn't truly what they wanted. And, the sad thing is it was very hard, in some cases you can't go back. So I never recommend that anybody under the age of 20, 21, go through the surgical parts, because there really is no going back. And even some of the hormonal, the surgeries and treatments too, you can't go back. So with clients and things like that, I just, usually suggest that they wait. A lot of times they don't want to wait, and that's understandable because I can imagine it's very uncomfortable for the person, right? But sometimes just that waiting a little bit to see how you maturate and develop and feel in a few more years can make all the difference in the world. So with that said, sister, please, if you can, hold off on, transitioning, at least for another 3 or 4 years. You can dress how you want, act how you want, and be who you feel that you are. But, it doesn't mean that you have to surgically remove things at this point. Just give yourself a little more time to grow and to learn about yourself is all that I'm asking. But of course, the final decision, comes from you and comes from your heart and comes from what you feel is best. There are certain medical conditions. One of them is adrenal hyperplasia, where babies are born with both sets of genitalia, or some of it is tucked away and hidden. And at that point, parents, have to make a decision of whether they want that baby to be a boy or a girl. Other times, it's more hormonally based and neurochemically based, and it's not as physically evident. Okay, so again, I'm bringing this up because you stated that, you want to know why it is forbidden in Islam, that you weren't born this way, you didn't choose to be this way, and you want to get rid of the desires. With that said, that's why I brought up the medical part, because I'm not clear on your medical, obviously. Only you or perhaps your parents know about your medical background. So please, sister, do write to Ask the Scholars and get more clear Islamic answers for your questions, because again, I don't want to mislead you. All I can offer you is things that I have learned from coaching and counseling clients who were transgender, are transgender, and 2 of them, as an example, who had deeply regretted it later. The other clients that I did have sessions with, they were happy. So it can go both ways, but again, I don't recommend it at your age. I do recommend it at an older age, and only when a person is absolutely sure and they have fully grown into themselves and they absolutely know, that this is what they want. Because again, a lot of times there's no going back. And again, I may be wrong with that with medical technology and advancements, but I just thought I'd mention that. So try not to be hard on yourself, okay? As you stated, you didn't choose this, you didn't want this, but just try to love yourself for who you are, right? And I know it sounds kind of ironic because I said, that I don't support removing body parts and getting the surgery as a teenager, right? Okay, but just accept yourself, and love yourself right now for who you are, and who, moving forward, that you may make changes to be more comfortable in your body. Right? That is your choice. So with that said, please do get counseling if you have not, and engage in possibly support groups for individuals who are either gay, lesbian, or transgender, and see if you can find some support there. That would be very helpful, to reach out to the community just to get some feedback and to talk and to, try to sort things out within yourself. My main concern for you is your thoughts of self-harm and your thoughts of suicide. I just want to state that you're very precious and that you're loved and that Allah loves you and Allah created you and Allah doesn't create mistakes. So I want you to remember that, okay? Allah does not create mistakes. And I just want you to fall in love with you and to love you and appreciate who you are and the strengths that you have. And just take your sexuality slow, right? There's no big hurry to make decisions. There's no big, pressure to decide one way or another what you want to do. Just take it slow, okay? And again, please do get engaged in some therapy and counseling, and possibly some support groups. And at any time, if you ever feel suicidal, please do call the suicide prevention hotline in your area. We wish you the best.